Hey, I'm Sanjana.
My name is Caitlin.
Hey, it's Angela.
Hey guys, it's Brian.
I'm John.
Hey guys, this is Kuval, and this is Earthlistening.
Hey, Earthlisteners. Today's guest is Raghu, a person who has dedicated a large amount of time to meditation and a yoga lifestyle, as well as lives in Australia. As you guys know, I've just introduced the basic facts about our guest speaker, but I want to give him an option to talk about himself and his personal values.
Sure. Thank you for the invitation. I'm Raghu. I live in San Francisco currently, and thank you for the opportunity for the podcast. I turned into meditation just to avoid the work stress and opted the different lifestyle rather than conventional lifestyle. So I do yoga and meditation just to keep myself physically fit and mentally fit. So most of the things do happen in the mind, and the thoughts are predominantly important. So still trying to master my thought process in my mind. So that's where my experience comes. I do conduct online Zoom meditation sessions weekly once on Saturdays. So globally, quite a few people who join there, and I try to do one-on-one meditations and healing sessions as well. So looking forward to giving my experience and tips if anybody is interested to follow on.
Could you describe your lifestyle and also your lifestyle as a yoga instructor and also just the benefits?
Sure. Yoga is mostly I do myself in yoga. I don't teach yoga, just to clear it out. I just do basic yoga postures just to get myself into the in flexible positions, because I sit. Mostly I spend my day in meditation and mindfulness. So I get up every day morning 4:00. By 4:30, I get ready, and then I sit in one posture, cross-legged. Typically, you would have seen many meditators doing it. So I sit that posture for at least hour and a half to 2 hours. So that's the main reason I do physical exercise, just to keep myself fit. So then whole day, so there's 2 hours is training my mind to be quiet, just concentrating on certain things like a breath or a nothingness. But my view is like the rest of the day, another 20 hours or 22 hours is important to keep that sanity with yourself. That's what I believe in.
You mentioned that you wake up at around 4:00 a.m. How was that in the beginning, having to wake up that early?
Gosh, it was toughest thing you could ever do, because the situation where I was, I used to sleep around 2:00 because of the work stress, and I was working as an professional services director in Australia. So I was looking after probably 10 to 12 countries. I was to travel so much. So it wasn't easy task, but as anything, you just practice, and then your body starts to understand that you got to get up by 4, and then it just became a habit now.
Oh wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, no one could do that.
If you wake up at 4, then what time do you go to bed?
Probably by 10:30. So my view is, this is my learning. I'm a self-taught person. Most of the things I taught myself. So when you're not mentally tired by end of the day, then you don't need that 8 to 10 hours sleep, because we get ourselves so tired mentally because we think so much, or we spend so much time like unwanted stuff in a day. So that's what causes us tiredness, and then our body looks forward to get rest.
Oh yeah, so before you mentioned that you got involved in yoga because of the high amount of stress you encountered. So would you say that like now yoga is one of the most passionate thing you are doing now, or is it like not so, is it very passionate for you?
Yeah, look, I mean, yoga is passionate for me because like I said, I mean, I do yoga just to keep myself fit, but the meditation is my passion. So the passion came from as I saw the results. I meditated for a month, nothing happened to me. I meditated for a second month, nothing happened to me. I mean, I wasn't looking for a miracle to happen, but when I started doing no output or no outcome out of the meditation, then I thought nothing is happening. It's all just gimmick and people talk about it. But people around me started looking like, how come you're so quiet? How come you're so calm? How come you're handling situations much better? So that kind of boosted my confidence levels, saying that, okay, I may not be acknowledging myself, but people around me are acknowledging. So that's when I said, okay, even if I don't do physical exercise, I don't really care. But meditation is like I haven't missed a day from that time.
Mm.
Yeah.
So actually, I have a quick question. I
Sure.
know most people meditate and they're like, can't you just fall asleep? How do you I think most people, they assume that when you meditate, you can fall asleep, like I said. How do you can you myth bust that? Can you tell us how that's not true or if that is true?
That is true initially. Why? Because why do we? If you take a step back and look at it, why do we actually fall asleep in meditation? Because we are quietening our thoughts. So when we go to bed, we can't sleep because our mind is totally active. It's like, I mean, imagine that you had a can of soda and then you're trying to sleep, right? Your mind is like so much sugar in your body, you can't sleep. So the same way, when your mind is so active, you can't sleep. So when you do meditation, your mind thoughts are a little bit slower than what they will be normally. So your body is saying like, oh, this is so nice. I'm going to put this person into sleep. So the way I learned is first, initially, that's exactly what happened to me. I mean, I used to sit for meditation within 10 minutes, and unfortunately, I snore, and then I could hear my own snoring. I'm like, oh, whoa, what is this? So then I needed to learn the techniques, which I can explain a bit. So our mind needs some activity. So that's why we always think, chattering, right? I mean, if you think about it, one part of the mind talks, another part of the mind listens, and another part of the mind actually thinks that, oh, these two thinkings are done by two different people. I'm going to act on it. So the talking, listening, and acting, it's pretty much your mind doing it, but it pretends that it's three different voices in your head. So once you kind of slows down, and then so what we need to do is to keep us awake. You got to give a work to your monkey mind. Your mind, our minds are like monkeys, right? Every branch it finds, it just tries to jump from one place to other place, and within 15 minutes you will be sitting in your home, but your mind is wandering somewhere in Disneyland or somewhere else, or a nightclub or a friend's house or whatever. So mine got that power to travel without visa and passport and a ticket. So it just travels anywhere it wants. So when you meditate, you need to give some activity to your mind, which is concentrate on your breathing. So if I concentrate on my breathing, what happens is your mind thinks that, oh, this is something different. I never did it. So slowly, your mind pay attention to you. So like I said, I mean, the mind is going so fast and everywhere. So once you tie it down to do one particular job, then rest all the thoughts will go away. So that's when you will get into a meditation, proper meditation.
Mm. Were there any challenges or struggles that you encountered during meditation, such as your brain's still active and you can't really get it to settle down?
Absolutely. So initially, like I said, I used to sleep. So first week, I realized that I'm sleeping. Then my challenge was, how do I keep myself awake? So I started with 10 minutes first, because I couldn't do more than that. So that was one challenge. And second challenge was sitting in certain posture. Like I learned, I saw a lot of meditators, like, as soon as you think about meditation, we all recollect Buddha, right? Buddha. And then we say, oh, he was sitting like that, so I should be sitting like that, and I should be doing. So I started sitting like that, and my knees were hurting and my back was hurting, and I couldn't sit more than 5-10 minutes. So that was a big challenge. I needed to get out of it. And then every time I do the meditation for 10 minutes, my head was like splitting headache because I was trying to control my thoughts. So because whatever I read and heard from other people, everyone said you got to control your thoughts, you got to control yours. Actually, meditation is not about controlling your thoughts. Meditation is all about being with yourself in that particular moment, right? So you don't think anything, you don't control anything. So not to think, we pay attention to our breathing. So, but it took a while, and then I challenged myself to do a 10 days silent retreat. Uh, so 10 days, 12 hours a day meditation. So I didn't want it to do in Melbourne, Australia, because I said, I'm afraid that I'll come back middle of the night and then I'll drive back. So I went to New Zealand, some remote corner of New Zealand, about 300 kilometers, which is, I don't know, 200 miles. So I went to that, some resort, and then I stayed there for 10 days without talking to anybody. So I hardly ate. So that actually blew my head off that, I mean, oh my God, this is when I can do it. I'm sure anyone can do it.
Mm.
So that was a big challenge I needed to get over it.
Oh wow.
That's crazy.
And I'm not eating, like, dang, okay, wow.
Wow, it's crazy.
Yeah, eating, but I used to eat like, when I feel like and hungry, like, in a day, probably one bowl full of some pasta or rice or something. And that's pretty much it. So something like that. No coffee, no tea, no proper bed. I was just sleeping on the floor. Yeah, morning, get up 4 o'clock until 9 o'clock. We just meditate. Whenever you feel like restroom or whatever you need to do, just get up and go and come back and then start meditating again.
The funny thing is, I go to bed at 10 and I still can't wake up at 8 a.m. So I don't understand how you're able to wake up at 4.
Yeah, that's I mean, that's like, I mean, if you have something interesting happening in our lives, how do we get up? Say when you're like 10 or 11, when your parents said we want to go to Disneyland today, or like any theme park, you would have like whole night you would be awake, right? Why?
Yeah.
Because why? Because
Yeah.
you're like so anxious. You want to be that excitement, right? That every night I get that excitement for next day morning.
Oh.
Yeah.
So meditation is like a celebration?
Yeah, it's not celebration, but it's like it gives me the purpose for my day. Like, and just gives me that I spend that 1.5, 2 hours with myself.
Mm.
Right? That's like big thing. We human beings, we never been taught to be with ourselves. All our parenting, society, everyone says like, you have to do this, you have to do. So every time, like, especially, I mean, I'm not generalizing, but some certain races in the world, parents are very much encouraging kids to, like, you got to excel, you got to get this many marks, you got to get into certain position, you got to get into seat into this good college. So these are all expectations they build up in from the young age. So what happens is our mind is so conditioned with those things. So we only work in this in this boundaries of this our mind. But once we open up and then we see beyond that, there is a life, right? So even with me, like growing up, my dad was never happy when I got 97 out of 100 marks. This is and my grandfather was like, first thing he used to say, why didn't you get those 3 marks right? I'm like now I can say, dude, I got 97, right? So that was the case. So it just happens that, I mean, we got these expectations from everybody, and then we condition ourselves that way.
So
Yeah.
basically, like whenever you wake up or when you go to sleep each day, you always have the sense of adrenaline for the next day.
It's not adrenaline, but it just when you are, think about this, when you are away from your house for like say 3 weeks, 4 weeks,
Mm-hmm.
if you feel that I'm looking forward to come to my home, have the food which is very familiar to me, and then I can sleep on my bed, and then I can spend some time with my siblings and parents, right? Do you guys can recollect that feeling if you are gone for 3-4 weeks away from home, and then you are on the way home, how you feel that sense of this is mine and this is where I belong, right? So that's the
Mm.
feeling I get every night when I sleep.
Oh, okay, I see.
Mm,
I understand what you're saying.
mm.
Just now, you're doing this meditation. When you look back, like 5 years ago, before you started doing meditating, do you think that your mindset has really been impacted by what you're doing right now?
Absolutely, absolutely. My thought process is different. My approach towards the things is different. I don't get stressed. Many things. So the biggest thing I see difference in myself is I used to take everything personal. If someone says that, even if someone says small thing, because I'm a very sensitive soul inside. So being a sensitive, what used to happen is even some two people are talking, I used to think like, oh my God, they're talking about me. Like, if someone says something, I used to think like, oh my God, why didn't I do that right? I should have done that better, right? So now I don't feel that way. I said like I did my best. It's okay. If they're not happy, then I can't make everyone happy. And then I learned this new thing called I'm not chocolate, right? If it is a chocolate, I can make everyone happy, but I'm not a chocolate. So I'm just going to leave it that way. So the purpose, what I found out is everything is in our mind. So if I can control, sorry, everything is in our mind, and we create the terms hell and heaven within ourselves. So this every situation is a situation, but what my learning is how I react to that situation is important to me. So that's what I learned. So since then I'm like pretty relaxed, chill. I don't really take anything too much to my heart.
Well, that's really good. That's really good.
Okay, also, before Sanjana did mention that you lived in the US, but you also went to Australia for school.
True.
So, like, did you have any noticeable difference about living in the US versus like Australia or anything?
I lived in Australia for 23 years. I'm originally from India. So I went to Australia to do my master's in IT. So that's where I met Sanjana's dad. So we studied together. We got graduated from Australia. Then I stayed back, and last uh, 2018 I came to San Francisco, US. So biggest difference I see is the lifestyle in Australia is much different than US, and especially I live in San Francisco, and then this place. I see that there is a huge cultural differences between US and Australia. So it's some of them are good, some of them are not really good. So I'm being honest. So yeah, if you ask me compare both of the places, where do you want to live? I would definitely say I'll go back to Melbourne any day.
Oh, that's do you have any funny experiences from living in Australia?
A lot. Australians say things very differently than English is very funny English there. So they call mate, M-A-T-E, for a friend.
Oh,
So if you look at that, and they say it in a way that you will be like, first when you go there, you have no clue what they're talking about. Say, good day, mate. I'm like, oh, what did you just say? I'm like, or sometimes they say like, we say good on you, and when you get to know people, they say on you. And I'm like, what does that mean? Like initially, I was like struggling to understand thing, and certain words are different. And probably I'll tell you other way. When I came to US, certain things are ingrained so that you talk. Like in Australia, they don't call trunk; they call boot, B-O-O-T, car boot. So I was telling my friend that can I put this in the boot? He was like, huh? What is that? So things like that, I was like very funny, like I was listening, and I was so yeah, that's the biggest thing I figured out, and that it was so funny.
Oh, that's both things made me laugh.
Okay, yeah, I have a question.
Sure.
Is there such a thing as healthy stress? Like, is all stress bad? Like, is there such a thing? Like, does healthy stress, like in small amounts, is it like something we should avoid at all costs, or can we like accept a little bit of it into our lives?
Amazing question. Glad you asked me. Honestly, there is no such thing as good or bad stress. It's like if something is not helping us, right? If even if it is a good stress, if it is not, say for instance, right? People, parents, or society or teachers will tell you you should have a little bit of stress before you go to the exam. Do you agree?
Yeah.
No, it makes me do
So
worse.
exactly. So
It makes
if
me so
that,
nervous.
yeah, I mean, if anything is making you in a negative, draining your energy, that is not good. Say for instance, right? You're going to go on a roller coaster and Six Flags. Say for instance, having a little bit of stress, like having an anxiety, that's normal. You can't do anything about it, right? And especially people who got a fear of heights, obviously they're going to feel more nervous, right? That's not good. But as soon as they sit on that roller coaster and then it started making that crackling sound, they will feel as if they're going to have a massive heart attack, right? So you figure it out whether it's good for you or stressful for you, because that's not going to help you, because the entire ride, that ride, you're going to be like, you don't know whether you're going to puke or whether you're going to sit on it, whether you're going to throw up or whether it's going to break and you're going to fall off, right? So entire journey, are you going to enjoy? In my view, no, because you're going to feel really stressed out.
For like a stressful event that you're about to experience, how would you like mentally prepare yourself like out of the meditation?
Sure. Again, it's amazing that you guys are asking such a good questions. So when I have a situation which I know that it's going to be stressful, so to me right now, things are, I don't feel anything stressful. But the moment, like say a few years ago, say for instance, if I'm going for a confrontational meeting with my boss or one of my staff members, I know that this is not going to go well. So I used to take 5 minutes before I start the meeting, and I used to sit, and then
Yeah.
I used to be with myself. I used to feel that, okay, I'm not going to think about that situation, but I'm going to think about some of the happiest thing happened in my life, right? It could be like, we bought a puppy when we were in Australia, right? And then I used to think about that puppy, or I used to think about the, places I went, something like which is totally not related to what my work is. So that creates the happy enzymes or adrenaline in your body, whatever that chemical word is, I'm not sure about it. So you generally you feel happy about it. So as soon as you feel happy about it, so I try to feel that happiness to entire my body. So that 5 minutes, I just generate that happy thoughts in my brain. And then I'm like, yeah, it doesn't matter what I talk right now. And then I walk into that situation.
So what you're saying with your whole experience, the example you gave us is that you kind of, when you get stressed, you kind of put your mind in like the worst scenario, and by calming down and like doing something that self-care in a way, you kind of bring your thoughts back down and come back to reality.
Yeah, but you don't need to go through the worst scenario. What you do is, so the way I learned this is, we overthink, uh, we overthink or overstress our mind for plan A, plan B, plan C, plan Z, everything, right? So we think like, if this happens, I'll say this. If this happens, I'll say this. If this happens, I'll walk out or I'll do this. So those are all the things we generate those thoughts in our mind. So imagine this, like, you have spoken so much internally. When you walk into that situation, your mind is so tired, and then it saw so many scenarios already in its in the reality, in the mind's eye. So when you walk into the situation, you already feel that you already spoke so much, and then one situation or one person says something, you just will be, I mean, I had enough. And then we pounce on it, and then we say things or we do things which generally normally we won't do it, right? Because we played so much in our mind. So I would not even play those games. I would say like, yeah, I will go with empty mind. It's like, I'm going to get the coffee inside. I don't want to fill up my cup with some other drink. I'll just empty my cup. I'll walk in and then let's see what happens. So I will be in the present moment. I'll be listening to all the situation and then I'll assess it. And then I'll just take, objectively, I'll look at it, what need to be done. And then you just take an action and then walk out.
It's a good,
Um,
yeah, I like that method.
As students, like for teenagers, us right now, we're going through a time of just being really thinking about many things like college and our just social life with other people, and also basically just trying to figure out who we are.
Mm.
And as yourself who meditates, do you have any like tips or tricks for us for meditation?
Definitely. And I'm glad again, this is such an important topic you touched on. As we go through this phase of our life, especially where you guys are, a lot of uncertainties, right? Look at this world where we are living in from December, January to now, right? We have no clue. We ever thought that we'll be wearing masks and walking in, not even walking and staying 6 foot distance from people, right? We never thought of this.
Mm.
So how could we prepare something which we don't know what is going to happen? First question you need to think. And second thing is, yes, having a plan is good, but how much are you going to plan for what?
Mm.
Right? That's what you need to think about, right? Yes, going to the college is good. You want to do something, you want to leave some footprint, what you've done, what you're going to do in your life. But
Mm.
always remember that it has to come from the space of joy. It has to come like, you got to ask every thought you get in your mind, is it coming from the space of joy or is it coming from the space of negative energies like, greed or jealousy or like stress or whatever. So if the thought is coming from the space of joy, you will never ever feel stressed. So that's first thing. Second thing is, don't believe what you see in social media. First thing, I think we need to learn that. I can tell you that I've seen so many people who are struggling, and I do a lot of healing with them. But if I go to their social media profile, they post images and the places where they go, and they put expensive stuff what they buy. So imagine if some weak-minded person in their circle looks one of those photos, and what would be their impression on that? Said, "Oh my God, that person is amazing! Look at that! Yesterday she was in Paris, and the next month she says that she's going to Bahamas. Like look at that, the bag what she bought. Oh my God, that's about $1,000 bag." But I know that that's not true because it's true she can afford to buy that, but I mean, in uh, inner heart, she's not happy, right? She's looking for a validation from everybody in the world. So imagine this: as soon as you put a post on the Facebook, other person only sees once, but we look at that post 1,000 times because every time we go, how many people liked it? Did anyone like it? Oh, why didn't that person like it? So we create that anxiety within ourselves. So I think good question is good thing we need to tell ourselves is like, let's not get sucked into this social media hype up. Like if these kind of stories are not there, Facebook will never exist, or Snapchat doesn't exist, right? Or how many people just use it for communication purpose? No, there are like ton of advertisements, ton of posts. You know, I went last week once after like so much time. Nowadays, everybody's posting a cooking video because they're so bored at home, right? They want to show that I did this. I mean, how many mothers, your own mothers and fathers cook for you? Did they ever went and posted in the Facebook saying that, oh my God, I cooked this food for my daughter or my son? So that's the world we live in. So one simple advice is don't get sucked into that false media, false social media at all. And even with the peers, don't get pressurized with your peers. People, your friends and everybody, they start telling you things which is not even true. Probably 50% of the time you look at their life and you think like, oh my God, really? And this person is telling me how to live my life. But the distancing you need to make, whether it's a positive or a negative influence for you.
I see.
Yeah, it's really true how that social media has really made us compare ourselves to just other people and just like say, oh, their life's so great. Like, what am I doing? It's like look down upon ourselves.
Hmm.
So before you did quickly mention that like you can't plan too much.
Hmm.
I remember there was a saying I've heard that says like if you plan you can succeed. Like if you plan to fail, then if you fail to plan, then you plan to fail. So like by those words, in your opinion, how much do you stand with those sayings?
So definitely, right? I mean, look, if I have to drive from place A to place B, probably I need to have a little bit of thinking, right? How am I going to do? What time I'm going to go? What? How is the traffic is going to be? Will I be reaching on time for my appointment? That kind of a planning, yes, healthy planning that is. But if I start thinking, what if I run out of gas, or what if I have a flat tire, or what if my car doesn't start, or what if I go late? What if that person thinks, what this person, what my dress is going to look like, what clothes I'm going to. So, do you see the difference between planning to execute a task against planning to, you know, collapse ourselves? So that I don't like the later part of the planning. I do plan, say for instance, I have to be attending this 5 o'clock meeting. I plan to be here wherever I go. That's the planning you need. But you don't need to plan saying that what if I get stuck, or what is this going to happen, what that. So that what if scenarios may not even happen in our life.
Yeah.
So, and second thing you need to think is like there is something called energy in the world, right? Everything what our thoughts, it carries an energy, right? So think about this. Say Sanjana thinks about some one of you, John or something. So John will feel the same way, and they go like, "Oh, let me message Sanjana to see what she's doing." So how did that happen? And then coincidentally, both of them thinking at the same time, and we all experience this kind of stuff, right? So that shows that we carry every thought we generate got an energy. So when we generate the positive thoughts, you're generating a positive energy. When you generate a negative thought, then you're generating a negative energy. So if we can avoid the negative energy, then that means we are always in a best position. We don't even need to think about it, right?
It's like overthinking is basically negative. We should
Yes,
avoid overthinking. Okay.
absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah.
Imagine that if you're going on a plane somewhere, do you think that what if this plane crashes? How do I jump out of this plane? Oh my God, maybe parachute may not open, but what is going to happen at that time? Those thoughts are not required, right? Because airplane industry is much safer than what it used to be 100 years ago. Very rarely we hear that there is an plane crash that, whatever happened, but that's very rare case. And then we don't have to pay attention to those kind of thoughts if we don't need to think about it. If we think about it, and then if you're sitting in the plane, imagine every turbulence you go through in the plane, you'll be thinking, oh, is this it? Is this it? I'm going to go down. So like entire journey, you're going to make yourself like a miserable experience.
Yeah, I had that experience before.
Okay.
When I was in elementary school, I thought it was a boat ride, and I didn't want to go because I thought if something happened to that boat and it crashed and I would die. So I decided for a good 3 months that I wouldn't go.
Yeah.
And then I realized it doesn't matter. I can die anywhere.
Yeah.
It's not like I can specifically die on that boat. Like that's what's gonna happen. No, I can die anywhere I want. What's the point of being alive if I'm gonna die? Like I need to do something with my life that's fun and enjoyable. So I understand what you're saying.
Yeah. So it's important that we should not, like I said, I mean, initially it sound like a lot of hard work, but it gets naturally easy as you progress. Just observe your thoughts. Like say, what I do now is like every hour I pause for 5 minutes, and I see like in the past hour, what were my thoughts? Was it like overkilling, over processing, or negative, positive? Am I thinking bad about anything? Am I thinking good? So I just analyze for 5 minutes very quickly. And then I'm like, okay. So because my aim is like, if I can get to like that 1 hour to 10 minutes to 5 minutes, then that means I stop overthinking. In every minute I'll be like, yeah, okay, I'm good, move on, move on.
This is a great experience. You should write about this. Your
Yeah.
journey through meditation. I would read it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I also
Yeah, well, yeah.
sorry, one thing I heard is that like a lot of people will keep like thought journals. So like similar to like what you say about like okay, doing 1 hour and then like you go back for 5 minutes and you think about what I was thinking about. I know a lot of people would do like keep like thought journals where they will write down their thoughts and worries. Do you recommend doing that for some people?
Yeah, I mean, if you are like, there is a there are three different types of learning, right? Visual, auditory, and kinesthetic. So these out of these three, you got to figure it out. What is your learning style? We are not the same. All of them are not same. Some people write, some people look at it and then they get it, and some people have to literally do something to get that thought into their brain, right? So whatever your style is, learning style is, if you identify that learning style, then if that's what makes you learn quicker, then write it down. Again, don't write like a story, or don't like beat yourself up or anything. You just say, I got this thought, I don't know why I got it, but I didn't feel good about it. So I I choose not to entertain this thought. Simple. That's it. But don't beat yourself saying that, oh my God, why did I get that thought? I mean, I'm not a good person. I'm not doing so. Don't know. Like, I mean, when we have a thought, we just openly we are saying that I don't like that thought. Please, I don't want to entertain it. Yeah.
Okay.
So how would you want to progress your meditation career? Like as in like elaborate, will you want to elaborate Zoom meetings? Like how would you want to progress your career in meditation?
So these are, like I said, I mean, these are all the things I learned over a period of time. And about 2 months ago, I just decided that I will try to conduct an online meditation. Previously, I used to do a lot of group in a room kind of a meditation. So I continue as long as I can help anybody. Like, so I don't have any set agenda what I will be doing in the future. For now, it's very helping everyone because of the COVID. Everything people can do it. I got a Facebook page which created. It's called Healer Within You, and I also got a WhatsApp group where I post a Zoom link every week because I don't want to put Zoom link on a social media. So I put it on a WhatsApp group so people join at 7 o'clock on Saturday Pacific time, in an hour's time from now. And I just talk about 5-10 minutes about one of the topics. Mostly it's about thought management. So my theme is like thought management because underlying for everything and anything is a thought, because which is only the thing which is in our control. So if we manage the thought, and we generate our own thoughts. So my principle in the life is, if I am generating the thought, why can't I generate a good thought rather than the bad thought? So that's how I progress my meditation. Yeah, moving forward, whatever is in store for me, I'm just open for it. I never thought I'll be doing this 5 years ago. So whatever it comes, I'm ready to do it.
I see all these apps, all like ads, like Noom, saying like, oh, we can teach you to meditate, or this can help you with this, or like just work on your mental self. What are your like opinions about this app?
Apps are good. Look, I don't have any specific recommendation for anything because, like I said, I mean, everybody learns differently. Everybody's mind is so. Let me add to this. A mind is not the same at this. See, even my mind today, it might be very quiet and calm. Tomorrow morning, I might have to listen to some guidance or guided meditation to do it. And 90% of the time, I don't need any guided meditation. I'll be very quiet. But at times, your mind goes in a hyperactive mode, right? At that time, I want to calm it down. Only way I can do that is an external voice, which is an app which I listen to, and or YouTube. I just go to the YouTube and then I put some guided meditation and then I listen to it. So whatever helps. I would suggest that there are quite a few good apps which I've used in the past. So I don't like people charging money for this kind of work, but I feel that everyone should be able to have access to these things. So I never charge $1 for what I do, and I personally don't like anybody charging for this kind of stuff.
Mm.
I'm pretty sure all of us who attended today would love to have like some sort of meditation class with teenagers, because this entire time with like SAT places closing and colleges changing their opinion and way of admitting, it's been stressful. So constantly having to think about that, meditation would be really helpful.
Absolutely. You let me know, Sanjana, when you can organize your friends. I'm more than happy to conduct a meditation for you. It could be like 15 minutes to half an hour. And you pick a topic, whatever you want, like an anxiety or self-love. Because a lot of people, that I saw that another thing is a self-love is missing because we don't love ourselves, which is a big topic, because that's where the biggest things will go wrong. So thought management, anxiety, affirmations, whatever the topic you guys can pick up, just let me know. Give me a couple of time slots. If you guys are open for a weekend, we can do on a weekend or a weekday evening, anytime. More than happy to do a meditation with you guys.
Yeah,
That's
that sounds
amazing.
great.
Yeah, I
Thank
would
you.
totally join that. Thank you.
No problem. Any of your podcast listeners, I mean, they can contact you guys, and happy to do a Zoom session with them.
So we noticed that you guys, like, you're a meditation instructor now. You've advanced from just doing it by yourself, and you've impacted multiple lives now. So how do you plan to further that? I know, like, right now you're like, we can't do much. It's just Zoom. What do you plan on doing in the future?
Yeah, look, I mean, let's see where it takes. Like I said, I mean, eventually, I see myself helping unconditionally, whatever that comes. Even one person can benefit. I would be the happiest person. So I read this book quite a few years ago. It's is like, who will cry in your when you die. Sorry, let me rephrase it. Who will cry when you die? So it's kind of a book starts with the sadness, and then it says how you need to live a life so that when you eventually when you die, actually, what is the legacy or footprints you're going to leave behind, so that people remember. I mean, I'm not thinking that I'm going to die. I mean, I'm not thinking that I won't die. We all has to die one day, but I want to do my best of my abilities to help anyone whom I can help during my journey, so that even one person can benefit out of my experience. That will be a big honor for my life.
Wow. Our book has a very interesting name.
As soon as you said that, I thought about who's going to be at my funeral and who's going to cry for me.
Yeah.
Like, is everybody going to be happy?
Exactly right. I mean, so there is two thoughts to this, two sides of this coin. I was talking to somebody. I said, like, I don't know if I live so gently and loving and caring, maybe everyone cries in my funeral. I don't like that, right? Or if I do so much bad stuff in my life, people might hate, and then no one turns up to my funeral. So I don't know which one to go. But it's always good to. I mean, it's not about who cries or anything, but I just want to have that. Like one person, if I could change their life, that's a big honor.
How did you know you wanted to teach meditation? Like, I know you did it for your personal gain, but how did you know, oh, I want to help other people? How do you know, like, that you wanted to impact many people's like lives with their self-love and self-care?
Where again, I asked that same question to myself, but somehow from young, I've been always there for helping people out there. Like, I mean, when I was young, one of my friend had a problem with his legs. Not friend's cousin had a problem with his legs, so he could never walk. So I used to carry him on my back to school every day. I recently I reflected on it. I'm like, oh my God, I used to do that, right? And that kid is like probably now, I don't know, he's working as an engineer and whatever it is. He sent me a message after like so many years, 20, 25 years. He sent me a message saying that, oh my God, I remember that you used to carry me to school. So
Oh,
I always had
That's
this,
amazing.
yeah, it's amazing actually. I totally forgot. I never thought about it. So like that, like quite a few incidents happen in my life. And then now I reflected back, reflecting on them and saying that, yeah, it was always there in my DNA that I need to help. But helping in a meditation aspect, like, I was working with one-on-one individually for with quite a few people in Australia and even in US. So then I said, like, hang on, like, I'm only reaching out to one or two people. If I start a Zoom session, it's like, first week we thought probably just two people, me, my wife, and maybe Sanjana's dad. Only three people will be joining to the meditation, and then let's do it together. So we ended up with 29 people on the day one, and we were like, oh my God, this is way too
Oh,
much. Yeah, we were
So
like,
much.
okay,
It's like a full
okay,
classroom.
yeah, 29 people. And then we were like super excited. And then I was so happy that at least people got. And then after that, a lot of people gave me a good feedback. They felt much, much better than what they started. So I think that encouraged me to tell myself a positive story that, there are some lives I'm changing, and then let me continue this way.
Mm.
wow.
You said like, how did you get a contact 29 people? Like, you said like, oh, you just thought it was gonna be 3 people in the beginning. How did people find out that you were hosting these classes?
So what I did was I posted on Facebook and
Mhm.
Instagram, because I got about, I don't know, 700 to 1,000 people on my Facebook. I never look at my Facebook at all. Like I said, first time after a long, long time, I went to the Facebook just to say, okay, I'm just going to put it out there that, I learned some techniques of how to control your mind. If anybody interested, just join this WhatsApp group. And then within an hour or so, there are about 50 people joined the WhatsApp group. And then about 29 people joined on a Saturday meditation. And then till that time, I just don't monitor who is on the Facebook or who is on the WhatsApp group, because I just go with it. Like I said, even one person or even no one joins, I still sit and meditate. But there are quite a few regular people who join because they saw so much benefit out of it, and they pass on the message, word of mouth, right? They tell others, and then slowly just growing.
mm.
Do you plan on collaborating with other meditation instructors in the future?
Yeah,
Like
look,
opening
it might happen. We don't know, but it's always the question is like, I mean, if uh, if that has to happen, I'm a big believer now that in a destiny. I went through this free will versus destiny and everything. Now I settled that destiny drives us. So whatever destined to happen, I'm open for it. There's no ego in it. If someone else can join, collaborate with me, and then they can benefit, they can provide a better meditation. More than happy to. I can learn from them too.
Mm.
Okay.
You should make this into some sort of nonprofit organization and make it into something, because you seem really dedicated to meditation. So maybe switching to like promoting it worldwide and getting people interested, and rather than like, I know most people now obviously do not do meditation because they don't believe in it. So changing people's minds about that could be really influential.
Yeah.
True. Yeah, true. Definitely. I mean, my aim is like I said, I work in very demanding job in the artificial intelligence area. So a couple of years, I just want to work. It's my own. I'm part of the startup, so I'm co-founder of it. So once things settle down, I think I'll take a back seat and dedicate my time and efforts to meditation.
Yeah, I think it's really going to be very influential for our generation or right now, like teenagers, especially during this whole craziness of like trying to get things like for college and then working all these out while in quarantine. It's like it's especially important for us to be able to meditate. And also I feel like it's really underrated for our age group to meditate, because usually we just think of like, oh, chilling with friends or just listening to music. But like what you mentioned, I really think meditation brings out a unique power of its own that could be very beneficial for our age group.
Absolutely, absolutely. I think that it's very important for your age group to understand and don't stress in the life, because life is amazing, beautiful, and what you make out of is in your hands. So if you think that way and take every step that way, without pressurizing yourself, without losing the confidence, without hating yourself, so then you are driving your own spaceship, right? So you're driving your mind towards the success rather than thinking all these negative thoughts in your mind.
Yeah.
Like you're saying your experience with meditation, and I've been going to yoga classes for 3 years now. And one time, like I noticed that even when I skipped 2 weeks or 1 week, I noticed a difference in myself, that it needs to be consistency. I need to continuously do this, or things start changing back to the way they were. So it's more, I felt like it was more about consistency for me.
Absolutely, absolutely. So anybody who's listening or who wants to try the meditation, don't be harsh on yourself. First thing. Second thing is just do for 5 minutes every day. That's all it takes. Just do 5 minutes, and you don't have to do like an hour or 2 hours, or sit in a posture, or do this, do that. Nothing. You just feel comfortable sitting on a bed, so be it. Are you sitting on a chair? That's fine too. Just sit for 5 minutes. Just observe your thoughts. Just pay attention to your breathing, and that's pretty much it. Just keep doing it for few days, and your mind craves for it. Your mind feels that, oh, that. So just a simple tip is same time, same time every day, at the same place. So your mind gets an habit. Like it's like when we go to bedroom and sit on the bed, and your mind knows that, okay, this is the time to sleep. It's like just treat your mind as a little puppy. If you ever bought a puppy in your life, that's how you feel. Like how do you train your puppy? Like slowly, you want your puppy to go out for any of activities. Then slowly you take the puppy, put him outside, he'll run back inside, then slowly put him back outside. So be gentle with yourself. Don't be harsh. Never say, one simple advice I can give you is never ever say a bad word about yourself. So that is no, you never do that, because it's like you cursing your own self. So you never do that. So ask your question anytime. If you want to be, if you get a harsh start, just think about it in your mind. Will I say this to my friend? So if I don't say that to my friend, why would I say that to myself?
That's very true.
Yeah,
That's actually really good advice.
Yeah, I do understand your point.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's emphasizing on self-love and just being patient with oneself, and like not expecting like you have to completely change, have to immediately be able to like meditate for hours on end. Yeah, just being easy on oneself.
Absolutely, because if you look back many incidents in our lives, we just not been taken care. So if a friend comes with a problem, we are more than happy to give them a suggestion, and we are more than happy to show the love towards them and say like, oh, no, it's okay, don't feel that way. It's not, they didn't mean that way, they're not been, they've been stupid, don't think about that, all those things, right? When it comes to ourselves, we are not that gentle with ourselves. So
Yeah.
always you remember that, if I'm giving an advice to myself, can I give that advice to my friend? If I can't, then why am I giving that advice to myself?
That's a good thing to keep in mind and all that. So like whenever we doubt ourselves and whenever we say something, we can always like tell ourselves like if we won't say this to other people, why should we say it to ourselves too? So that's
Yeah.
Correct. And I just never get into bad thoughts in your mind, right? It's my 2 cents advice is the story what you tell yourself. That is my punchline every time I do a meditation. What story you tell yourself is important than what you're telling others. See, your parents might ask you, your sisters or your friends might ask you, how are you feeling? You're like, I'm feeling good. But inside you'll be feeling like absolutely hopeless, or you're feeling like, depressed or anything. That's the story you need to pay attention to. What story am I telling myself? Yeah, always pay attention to that story. That story will never lie. So then you need to have some tools in your mind saying that, I know the story is not good for me. How am I going to change that story to suit me now? So that's when you be gentle with yourself. And then if you are in a place where it's like, you are unable to breathe because of that toxic environment or anything, just get out of that place, go outside, get some fresh air, think rationally, and then quieten your mind. So some techniques you can use, like breathing is one technique, or like you can use like two fingers, all the fingers joined together, and then bring them together and then expand them, like when you do a stress ball, how you squash it and then release it. Same way you do that. As you bring the fingers inside, then you breathe in, and then as the fingers goes out, then breathe out. So you can do this anywhere, like you can sit in any place, and then you can just do it for a few minutes, and then you calm yourself down, be gentle with yourself, and then you say like, okay, that's fine, that's past, I'm not going to watch. It's like, you don't like to watch the same movie 100 times, right? So there is an incident happened to your life, or it's something happened, or somebody said something which really not a good thing. So how many times are you going to watch that same movie, right? You get bored, and then your mind says, yeah, I've seen this many times, I know it. And then as you see more times, you're actually carving harder on your heart. And then you become bitter, and then you become like, depressed about it. So rather you say like, yeah, I've seen enough. I don't want to be seeing anything. It's their problem. They said it. That's not my story, their story. So I'm just going to let it go.
A wonderful way of thinking about it.
Yeah.
I noticed how you said your story cannot lie, like your own story. And you also can't lie to yourself about your story. So I think that was kind of a good way to quote it. Like, there's no way you can lie. The only person who's going to hurt yourself is the only person who can hurt you is yourself.
Yep.
If you lie to yourself about something.
Absolutely.
Yeah. That was a very eye-opening, like the statements. Yeah.
Thank you. I'm so happy that whatever I learned and whatever I told you, it's been helpful, and then you guys resonate with it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And like also we really like appreciate because you just gave us like more in depth about like what you do and how just like meditation benefits like not just like people around your age but also like younger generations as well. So I really think that just giving us more perspective from your side just like I guess gives us more thought about doing this and just pursuing meditation. So yeah.
Thank you so much for your time. That was a great. I love the talk we had.
Yeah, thank you for coming.
Absolutely, it's my pleasure.
Thank you.
Anytime you guys are ready, thank you for the opportunity, guys, and all the very best for your future and whatever you guys take it up in your lives.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks for listening. Check us out on Instagram at Earthlinking2020. Check out our website on Instagram. Subscribe to our YouTube channel at Earthlinking Team. Donate to our GoFundMe located in the description box of our first video.
This is Earthlistening, and we'll see you in the next episode.
Here are some bloopers. Enjoy.
Wow, you just wow.
Okay, start whenever you're ready. John.
John, you're saying this is Earth Listening. See you in the next episode.
This is
Everybody
our.
mute yourself.
See you next episode. Oh, yes, I know. Okay, this is Earthlistening, and we'll see you in the next episode.
Hey, I'm Sanjana.
My name is Caitlin. Wait, can we start over again? I'm sorry.
Should we start? Oh no.